remembering and offering all this to the Lord, start thinking, पता नहीं मैंने completely offer किया है कि नहीं. I don't know whether I have made the right decision. I don't know what will happen. Is this the path to take? What is the Lord trying to tell me? But while you are playing that game, you are fully involved. By Nolinida, that now darshan is over. Come again, next time. And even Champak Lalji told them not that it's over. So they were feeling very, they were feeling remorse, repentant, ki hamari galti thi, we were not mindful of the time and all. Then suddenly, as they are leaving the ashram gate, suddenly Champak Lalji comes running and says, Mother is calling you all. Namaste. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you for being here. Today, we will reflect upon a prayer of the Mother from the Prayers and Meditations, written by the Mother on April 23rd, 1914. She has already met Sri Aurobindo. It's a prayer where the Mother is explaining, or one can say also describing, a stage in yoga, obviously an advanced stage. And it is a stage where the mental workings, the rules and regulations are slipping away from her like a cloak. And there is a much higher, much deeper and much greater luminous guidance which is right in front of her. And how she lets go of the rules and regulations and her own discipline and effort that she has made till now to accept this luminous guidance and let it guide her according to the divine scheme of things now. April 23rd, 1914. All rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased. Not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. It seems that this inner will, always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Till now, it seems to me, the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope that it is Thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that Thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness, when Thou thinkest it best. I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. All this is very new, but what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. What will come out of that, I do not know, but I trust in Thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing Thy instrument. So a state where she is experiencing that all rules and regulations and her own effort and her will has left her, is ebbing out from her, and a new guidance, a new light is now asking her to be more with the divine scheme of things that the divine wants. Her will has been overtaken completely by the divine will. A state one can define as let go and let the divine take charge, complete charge. We all have rules and regulations, and of course, rules and regulations are very important because they help us navigate our life. And what is then the problem is when we make ourselves rigid and we bind ourselves to the rules and regulations. They may be rules of outer life, of moral life, of inner life, whatever rules are needed that the mind decides. Now, the mind creates sections. That's how it works. It cannot function otherwise. And the operating system of the mind is largely the time. And time management is very important for the mind because without it, it feels lost as if in a sea of infinite chaos. So, when the mind organizes things, it likes to make a routine. It makes rules, it makes regulations, it makes certain principles, certain ideals. And of course, it is very good to follow a mental discipline, an organized life. However, at a given stage, as the mother is describing the stage, at this stage, when intuition takes over and starts leading our life and starts to organize it, it may upset this whole mental machinery and the mental workings and bring in something which is up till now unimaginable. You see, the animal world is driven by instincts. Animal likes to eat when it is hungry. It will not say, or it will not fix a time that it is because it is 1 p.m. Now I need to have my lunch. So it eats and it follows its instincts. Whenever it is hungry, it will eat. But the human mind, the human way of life is something that we follow as a fixed timing. So we act according to these timings and we eat lunch at maybe 1, dinner or supper at 7. But what would be the supramental way, the higher way? It will be neither the animal nor the human. It will be something which is way above. And it will be like the instinct or the human way or the mental way will be replaced by something which is like a luminous guidance, spontaneously arising from within. And we also see in Sri Aurobindo's correspondences that he has said that for a collective life, discipline, punctuality, the mental rules, the routines are important. One just cannot say that because I am sitting in meditation and only when I come out of my deeper senses will I go and eat my dinner in the dining hall? So, interestingly, there is a episode where a disciple reports to Sri Aurobindo that so and so, X, does not, he comes very erratically to the dining hall, and sometimes he comes very late. So Sri Aurobindo suggests that why don't you keep his food separately, and when he comes he will eat it. So, okay, fine, that was done. Then again, a sequel to this complaint came that sometimes he comes to the dining hall, sometimes he doesn't come. So Sri Aurobindo said, okay, why don't you take his food, pack it in a tiffin and keep it outside his room. That being done, then again another complaint that sometimes he eats it and sometimes we find that it is not even eaten, he has not even touched it. And Sri Aurobindo suggests some way, and this is something one can say like an exception for few people where the Lord decides. But for general, for everybody else, in a collective life, in an ashram life or in a collective life, the rules have to be followed. They are meant there so that everything functions properly. If we look at Sri Aurobindo and the mother's life, towards the later part, post 1914 we'll find, especially 1926 onwards, we'll find that they hardly followed any routine. Sometimes Sri Aurobindo would also eat his food, dinner at 1 a.m. and sometimes the breakfast would be at lunch time. So they hardly followed any rules after that. They had already gone much beyond. Another interesting episode was that during the darshan days, there used to be a time which would be given very strictly, and they were supposed to come and have darshan of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. So at one point of time, the darshan is over, and Sri Aurobindo and the mother keep sitting. They are sitting there, waiting, nobody knows why, but anyway, the disciples, they enjoy having that extra hour or two of darshan of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And finally, it appeared that Admiral Rutledge, a Navy commander, US Navy commander, was on his way to meet them with two of his colleagues. And he comes and he salutes in the Navy style and has darshan. So Sri Aurobindo and the mother were waiting for him. But in the divine scheme of things, only they understood. Another incident is of Shobhadi. It's a very beautiful description given in Living in the Presence, the book Living in the Presence, written by Shobhadi, where she has said that when she first came to the ashram, she was a child and she was playing around, and there was a time given to them, the whole family, to come and meet the mother. Now, child playing took time and the parents kept coaxing, but somehow they got late. And after that, they were refused by Nolinida that now darshan is over, come again, next time. And even Champak Lalji told them not that it's over. So they were feeling very, they were feeling remorse, repentant, ki hamari galti thi, we were not mindful of the time and all. Then suddenly, as they are leaving the ashram gate, suddenly Champak Lalji comes running and says, mother is calling you all. So, and they have a darshan, and then thereafter Shobhadi stayed in the ashram. So, certainly at their stage, at their level, they were beyond this. The mother was very open, even Sri Aurobindo. They never followed any rigidity of rules and regulations if it was needed. And they were ready to give up their mental beliefs, their systems, their routines, but they could foresee the divine scheme. The mother herself, she never liked football. When she saw it being played in the ashram, she would say, what a brute game it is. Everybody is running after one ball and also hitting each other, people getting hurt. But at one point of time, Mohan Bagan came and played in the ashram with the ashram team. And when mother saw how artistically they were playing, so she says, no, it is a very beautiful game. It is a very artistic game. And thereon, football is, of course, played in the ashram. So, and she gave them special blessings, all the players. So, this prayer is actually written much earlier, in 1914. where she meets Sri Aurobindo and she experiences a complete silence of the mind. And Sri Aurobindo reflected later on, he actually, these are his words, that he had never seen a surrender so absolute till now. And it's not that by the mother having a darshan, she came as his disciple, but she was actually his collaborator. And thereafter, after meeting Sri Aurobindo, she dedicates her whole life as the executrix of his will, the divine will. She lets go of her personal will and her personal effort up till now, and she is ready to do what the Lord wills her to do. So she says, let's look at the prayer again. Starting line, all rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased. Not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. Now, disciplining oneself requires effort, and the mother, on her own, consciously has made this intense effort. And this effort, disciplining oneself and coming to this stage, is the first step. Freedom comes after that. So here for the mother now, it is as if the yoga is likely to proceed in a totally unidentified way. Her tapasya is complete up till now. There is no doubt. But at this given stage, all this has to change. And in everybody's life, a stage comes when after disciplining, after a lot of intense effort, after reaching a certain stage in yoga, this can change and has to change. So here by now, her life is now going to be led by the law of truth, which is trying to express, and all the circumstances and situations around her are arranging themselves according to that. So she has reached a stage where, like a cloak, all effort has kind of fallen away from her, and she is ready for something new. And in the prayer, the mother is also describing something that it is essential, it's not. In one of the prayers also she has mentioned that rules and regulations are important. They are a makeshift arrangement. They give a very good scaffolding for the freedom that one would experience when the divine will takes over. And how she is reacting to this stage is that she is completely surrendering with a complete trust in the Lord. And instead of striving and struggling against the current, now she has sensed she's going to flow in it, with it, and move forward. So she says, it seems, and this leaving of this effort and this disciplined life and all, she says, it is not through negligence, it is not because of any complacency from my side or any lethargy, but it's as if my will has been taken over completely by something else, by a higher will. It seems, she says, it seems that this inner will, always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Normally, the steering wheel of our life is largely led by our own will. But now, there is another will that is taking over, which is a much greater will. And this greater will, when it is taking over, it seems as if her own will, her own life till now, it's falling asleep. And her personal will has been put to sleep as if. And it's not because of complacency or lethargy, but because it is the divine will now, that her will be taken over by the divine himself. So this is a stage beyond, and we must also, that when one reaches a kind of this stage and starts getting this feeling, there will also be a kind of a restlessness that one needs to now let go. And it is a stage beyond the mental rules and regulations and the efforts that we have put in so far. Now the effort, the rules and regulations will be all guided by the divine. It does not mean that you stop leading a disciplined life now. It means that that part of the disciplined life and the mental rules and regulations will now anyway go on. If there is no any need for her to overcome those and let them go, she will let it go. If it means that you have to follow this, it does not mean that deliberately, oh, now the divine will has done, let me let go of everything that I was doing and let me become complacent. And so in the later part of the prayer, she will also reflect on this, that if I have been so rigid up till now, and look at her humility. At her stage, she is saying this. So if she is admitting that up till now, maybe it was erroneous, it was something that was keeping me away from the complete scheme of divine will. But now, do I suffer from the excess of it? Is it that I have now fallen entirely on the divine will? Jo karenge, divine karenge, mujhe kuch nahi karna. So she is reflecting on that later on. So instead of straining and striving against the current, we start flowing with it and are carried forward by it. And only when we surrender with complete trust can we feel this relaxed self-giving, a happy poise, and a total reliance on the divine will. Whatever is going to be the result, the divine is going to take care of it now. This, when one looks back at this kind of stage, and when she is actually looking back, the grim regime, or one can say the harsh restriction once one puts on oneself, whether they were important or not, one starts questioning that. So rules of life, as she said in another prayer, are a makeshift arrangement. But then at some point, if you need to let them go, you have to let them go. Mirabai did it. There was a confusion in her that should I stay in this palace or should I leave it? And finally she took that stage. And that's when Ranaji had made a temple for her, so that she could exclusively go to that temple and do all her puja part over there. And at home, in the palace, she would be doing the household chores. But at one point of time, when she used to go there, then she penned down these, compositions, Piya ke palang mein jai padungi, main to giridhar aage nachungi. And so slowly she reached a stage where she felt the need to be only with the divine, without any bindings. Buddha also did the same. He left his kingdom. Vibhishana also, he had this call. And at one point of time, he had to be loyal to Lanka and Ravan. But when he came in contact with Sri Ram, he let it go. Arjuna also did the same. So when we talk of, usually when we talk of flowing with the current, we talk wherever life takes us. But here, the mother is actually talking of a spontaneity which is arising from within, which begins to step in, and we begin to live more and more in the truth, in the higher light. She says further, till now, it seems to me, the course has always been in a straight line. And means she has followed a particular regime. And I would keep the hope that it is thou, O Lord. Here also, she is not letting go of the vigil. If there is even the slightest doubt whether it is the divine who is leading her or it is her personal will, she is putting it again to the Lord. She says, I hope it is thou who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity. It could be very well. It could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. Now, she has led a hard, disciplined life, as is also stated in the Upanishads. Hard is the path, sharp as a razor's edge. So, she has done all that. And look at her humility. She is saying, if I have erred, if I have made a mistake, if I have sinned. So, here the word error is not being used in the normal conventional way that we look at it as a sin or anything like that, but it is something that has kept her away from the divine, something that has not made her follow the divine guidance to the fullest. Now, sadhaks of integral yoga and other also, they pass decades in this intense effort, and they follow a very strict regime, looking neither left nor right, only straight, following a narrow trail, a narrow path, which they have set for themselves by the most conscious part of their being. It's not that they have been made to follow it, but consciously they have followed this path, and consciously they have followed this path to reach that stage and to lead the life which the divine wants them. But at a particular time, then these efforts, they have to dissolve, because when the higher truth sets in, the law of truth sets in, then the whole, as I said earlier, the mental machinery goes for a toss. Now, this is not an easy thing at all. It's a very difficult thing. Up till now, decades you have passed in these, this kind of a routine and resolution and regime. But this movement, if we have complete trust in the divine and we are ready to surrender with complete trust, then it is very easy to let go of the rules and regulations and then follow different rules and regulations which the divine wants them. And they won't be time bound, they won't be bound by the mind at all. Now this is bound completely by the divine will. And there could be, the rigidity that I am talking of is that sometimes we become so rigid with what we have been following, लकीर के फकीर जैसे बन जाते हैं. So in the ashram also, once mother sent somebody to get some bread from the bakery, and the baker, he said ki, oh, it's 5 o'clock, bakery is closed, now you need to get a written note from the mother, and the mother only had sent her. So these are kind of absurdities which we fall into, and here the mother is cautioning that this kind of absurdities they will just bind you and take you away, even if the divine will, even if the divine scheme is right in front of you, urging you to follow it. Because of these mindsets, because of these rigidities, we may miss out on that. So that is what she's saying, flow with the current, flowing in the current, with the current. And the most important thing is suppleness. To accept this spontaneity, to let it work within, to let it spontaneously spring from within, the suppleness is very important. It's not that this spontaneity will erupt only at a particular time. Now, all along, this spontaneity will be there, and this suppleness has to be there. And this recognition that why it is happening, where it is taking, and without any harsh treatment towards oneself. Oh, I have made a mistake. And if we start focusing on this, whether we are making a mistake, whether this is right, whether this is wrong, all this also one has to let go. This is what she means, that these kind of rigidities, that there is a kind of a torture, there is a kind of a mental torture that we also do with these grim resolutions. We may be very passionately following the path, but the Lord, it seems, doesn't like these grim resolutions. So, and if we are rigid and we are guided by the mind, then we are only following an outward structure, only a framework. So it is a very interesting phenomena that once from a very regular disciplined effort full life, it seems it's not that one will not make that effort, but that effort will now seem effortless. So there will be a very happy poise, a relaxed self-giving, and of course, you are fixed on the aim, but you do not start taking yourself so seriously, and you do not start taking life so seriously. Whatever will be then, ke sara sara. And this is when effort doesn't seem like effort. There is a happiness all around. There is a joy. And when mother says, flow with the stream, yes, you have to flow in the stream. And what do you have to give? You have to offer. And what do you have to offer? All your desires and your selfish wants, all your ego, you start. So whatever, when we start giving all this, when we start offering all this, remembering and offering all this to the Lord, then it's an intense peace, calm, and the work, when one is peaceful, when the mind and the heart are in complete repose, then only the divine scheme, then only the instrument, one can say, is ready for the work that the Lord ordains. And she is so humble, epitome of humility. She admits and she accepts not to know. She's asking questions. And she is saying that Lord, if I have made a mistake, and if this rigidity has kept me away from, let me not make another error by becoming complacent and lax just because you are there. So my effort should not cease. And the effort has to be there, but then now when you are flowing with the stream in the divine light of things, then efforts don't seem like efforts. And then life, and one can say the action, they don't appear like battlefields to you. So her whole outlook has reversed. And she writes, I have come to accept peacefully. So what does one do when one is facing this stage? She's telling us that. I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness, when thou thinkest it best. It's not because, oh Lord, I am allowing now the divine will, I have let go of my divine will. So please now, you bestow me with consciousness, you give me that, no, that is again moving away from the path. So she's saying, when thou willest, when thou will, then you let it happen in me and through me, not before that. So there is a complete surrender. And it's a very peaceful state. It is a very relaxed state. The real parameter here is whether the addition or the growth required by the consciousness is happening or not. And when the mind decides, then it is a sheer framework. But when the mind and the heart are in complete, one can say, accordance with the divine will, then obviously the obvious is going to happen, which is the divine will. She says, so beautiful, I look at all this changing world as a game. So all that kind of seriousness, now it is a game which the Lord is playing. Now when we play a sport, basketball or football or anything like that, we know it's a game. But when we are into the game, we are in that spirit, we forget everything, and that is life and death for us. So, and that energy, that involvement in the game, knowing that it is a game, you know that you are playing a game, it's not serious, after this we'll go home, But while you are playing that game, you are fully involved. So this life, the divine scheme of things, is also like the Lord playing a game with you. So you don't start taking yourself too seriously, your needs too seriously, but at the same time, there is no refusal from within to not give what I have completely. And the most important, the most interesting thing I find in this is that she says, if I believed it real and important. So there is nothing so important and earth-shattering about this game of life that we should at every point, start thinking, pata nahi maine completely offer kiya hai ki nahi. I don't know whether I have made the right decision. I don't know what will happen. Is this the path to take? What is the Lord trying to tell me? What should I do? All you need to do is, even if there is a doubt, you put that doubt to the Lord. So there is a doubt, and automatically we will find that the decisions that one comes to, or whatever actions that come through us, are actually from the divine then. But you have to connect to the Lord, and you have to tell, you are the master game player. I am just a player. So as long as one is walking on the straight path and with feet firm on the ground of with devotion and surrender, there is no need to look back. There is no need to look back कि ये मैंने किया था, ये मेरा है, this all I have accumulated, I made so much of an effort. Everything goes away. And there is this stream, that is the divine stream, that is the divine flow. All we need to do is all a self-giving. And the more we give, the more we receive. At each moment then, let us not focus on too much seriously on the effort one needs to make at this stage, and not worry. Do our best and not really worry, and try to overcome these kind of lower, you can say the lower nature, the universal lower natures, which keep on, then life doesn't seem like as if, every situation will not seem like a javelin which has been thrown at us with hostile intent, So that stage also one is able to cross. And we know that life, and we are playing it like a game with the divine, the Supreme Lord. So then we see the transientness also of our own life. But we realize that this transientness, through this transientness, the permanent is actually trying to express itself. So when the divine wants to lead us forward, he will lead us forward. All we need to have is trust, faith, surrender. And a readiness, I guess, to smile at oneself. And one can say a relaxed, happy poise. So this is the poise which the mother has entered. And she is also writing this for us. Whatever she wants her children, she has actually undergone it herself. And that is how she is able to write it so candidly and frankly. So in a perfect addition to this and surrender to the divine, she's writing this. And she says, all this is very new. So this is a new poise. So she had not expected. She came as his disciple, and then she realized, she experiences this complete silence. Then certain things reveal themselves to her, and she has total faith and complete surrender. Now she knows, she has reached Pondicherry. She knows that now the divine will, Sri Aurobindo is there to map and guide the path, and all she needs to do is be the executrix of his will. She says, all this is very new, but what is certain, that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. They were not, before this I have never experienced this, one can say the heart and mind being as one. The heart and mind both have to be dedicated to the divine, and both have to, and at this stage the heart is there, and whatever the framework the mind is now going to set is going to be according to the divine will. What will come out of that, I do not know. And she's accepting not to know. Imagine the humility. What will come out of that, I do not know. But I trust in thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing thy instrument. Ultimately, the ultimate sadhana is to become a pliant instrument of the divine. And her life is now completely based on this inner unfolding of the divine. This great change came to the mother only when she met Sri Aurobindo. And it's not that Sri Aurobindo did not have this stage. For 4 years, his path was blocked, 1910 to 1914. When the mother came, she unblocked this path. And he knew what mapping and what had to be done further. And he was sure that the time has come now. So, let us read this prayer again. April 23rd, 1914. All rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased. Not by my own will, nor I believe through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. It seems that this inner will, always alert like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Till now, it seems to me, the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope that it is thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness, when thou thinkest it best. I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. All this is very new, but what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. What will come out of that? I do not know, but I trust in thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing thy instrument.